Hi and welcome to week 7. This week we are going to be looking at Holocaust denial. We're doing this as a case study just to get you familiar with the way that we hold discussions and the way that we view people's work in history extension. I have my notes just here so that I don't forget anything. Okay. Holocaust denial has been the tool of anti-Semitic movements since the 1960s. Pseudo-academic groups like the Institute for Historical Review have held annual conferences and gathered fellow deniers to share their beliefs that these events were conjured up by the Jewish people as a means to justify the creation of the State of Israel. Deborah Lipstadt refers to Holocaust denial as a wolf in sheep's clothing. Anti-Semitism and Nazism disguised as academia and revised historical truth. There are two main forms of denial. There is soft denial or Holocaust distortion, where these pseudo-academics portray the Holocaust as an exaggeration. And then there's hard denial or Holocaust denial, which is the belief that the entire Holocaust was an absolute hoax. Holocaust distortionists and deniers alike believe that Nazi Germany was the victim of a smear campaign invented by the Allies to make Nazi Germany a villain. They claim that Jewish people aimed to gain the sympathy of the world and extort money in order to establish their own state. They believe that the concentration camps were built by Allies and by those hoping to run the locations as tourist attractions. And they believe that Holocaust survivors are paid liars. Although Holocaust revisionists would like to believe that they are serious students of history, almost none of them are actual historians, nor are any of them recognised as such in the academic world outside of their own circle. They often refuse to engage with any evidence that is in the form of testimony, film, or photograph. David Irving is perhaps the most well-known Holocaust denier, having been found guilty of Holocaust denial, anti-Semitism, and falsifying of history by a court of law. A little bit of background. Irving originally began a physics degree at Imperial College London. However, he could not continue past the first year due to financial issues. He later then completed 2 years of an economics degree at the University College London. However, again, he dropped out due to financial issues. He then attempted to join the Royal Air Force, but was deemed medically unfit. And he then went on to write articles for various publications, and he published his first book, The Destruction of Dresden, in 1963, and thus began his work as a historian. One of the claims made by Irving is that Auschwitz was merely, quote, a labour camp with an unfortunately high death rate, end quote. He states, quote, there were no gas chambers in Auschwitz. There were only dummies which were built by the Poles in the post-war years, just as the Americans built the dummies in Dachau, end quote. In response to the high death rate, which Irving concedes is the truth, he states that the number was only 100,000 and that this was not from gas chambers but rather from illness and epidemics. This is a clear example of Holocaust distortion, where he appears to concede some truth to the Holocaust, however excuses, minimises and misrepresents the Holocaust through distortion of these facts. Another way Irving achieves this in his work is by levelling Hitler against British and US contemporaries, stating, quote, he was as evil as Churchill, as evil as Roosevelt, as evil as Truman, end quote. Beyond distortion of fact, Irving exonerates and celebrates Hitler, painting a picture of the dictator as a historical figure who is misunderstood. He claims Hitler was not aware of the Holocaust as he was, quote, busy being a soldier, end quote, and again distorts fact by conceding that Hitler ordered the expulsion or deportation of Jewish people from Germany. However, the order was never given to harm or kill any individuals. Irving has confronted Holocaust survivors, refusing to hear their stories, even asking one survivor, quote, how much money did you make from that piece of ink on your arm, end quote. Moving beyond Irving, denialism is a perfect example, or denialism is really a pretext for delivering anti-Semitism in the form of scholarship, although few academics ever gave it such attention. Being online creates the perfect environment for spreading distrust of historical records. In the online space, fact and fiction are presented on an even playing field, with individuals often oscillating between fact and fiction in very short and succinct sequences. The consumer of social media is required to be critically thinking about everything that they consume. However, this is impossible when we are dealing with such a wide range of information, most of which is represented as fact. This problem is exacerbated when we think about the amount of young people who are still developing their critical thinking, who are then grappling with these distorted versions of history online. For deniers, the internet helped to repackage their conspiracy into something less recognizable than hate. They took advantage of the collective public's aging memory of the Holocaust and began to pose as respectable academics online. These people look like academics, they speak like academics, present falsified evidence in footnotes with confidence and assertion. Use of Holocaust imagery or language online for political or ideological purposes can also trivialize and demean the Holocaust. A recent example being anti-COVID vaccination protesters around the world wearing yellow stars in protest against being barred from restaurants or workplaces without vaccination status. Suggesting that unvaccinated people and Holocaust victims have been similarly oppressed massively underplays the scale of human suffering, human rights abuses and prejudice that were experienced during the Holocaust. However, the internet doesn't just offer doom and gloom. With the creation of the internet came the world's best historical academic archive. Deniers have been waiting for the Holocaust to no longer be in living witness, for there to no longer be any eyewitnesses existing. However, with the vast amount of digitized testimony, this is no longer a possibility. Testimony will always be available, even long after the survivors are gone. These digitized accounts of the Holocaust are accessible for historians and everyday consumers of online material, and they present a clear and undisputable argument against Holocaust denial. Deniers online can be responded to immediately with these stories from people who were actually there. As Deborah Lipstadt states, if the deniers are right, who needs to be wrong? The victims, the German witnesses, the perpetrators. That is our Holocaust denial information for this week. We'll have some discussions and really thinking about those big historical questions, our 4 key questions in relation to this case study. Looking forward to seeing you.